Parshas Chaya Tovshin Ayin Daled. We are moving right along here. This is actually the first year that we're giving this year where it's cold outside. So I'm starting to look forward to learning the Parshas in the Chumash Bereshis on those cold, long Friday nights. We'll go out, we'll give a Nsivos Shalom shir on Friday night also. Beginning to look forward to that. Another week or so, we're going to change the clock, and we look forward to that. At the beginning of this week's Parsha, we read about one of the most famous financial transactions in our history. Beginning of the Parsha. And that transaction is, as we all know, the purchasing of the Ma'aras HaMachpelah by Avraham Avinu. And Avraham Avinu bought it for the burial of his wife, Sarah Imenu. And we know that the Torah discusses this purchase transaction from Ephraim in great detail. The Torah mentions every little detail about the back and forth between Avraham Avinu and Ephraim. And it relates to us every move in this deal. Every move in the negotiations, everything that happened, the Torah mentions every single move in the deal. And all the statements that they made to each other and the replies between Avraham Avinu and Ephraim. So the first question we want to ask tonight is, what is the Torah teaching us by supplying us with all of these details? We know the Torah could have just said that Avraham Avinu bought the Ma'aras HaMachpelah. And Ma'aras HaMachpelah was bought then, and what's the difference? Without mentioning how much he paid and how much they wanted him to pay and what they said to each other, by the very fact that the Torah relates to us every detail in this transaction, the Torah is trying to tell us something. So Nsivos Shalom says on this question that Pashtus, we could really say that what the Torah is doing is the Torah is continuing to tell us about the chesed of Avraham Avinu. The Torah is telling us that even this episode of Kavura Sarah teaches us about the chesed of Avraham Avinu. That Avraham Avinu did not just do chesed for people who are alive. Avraham Avinu's chesed went beyond that, and Avraham Avinu also did chesed for people who were not alive anymore. And just like in last week's parsha, we began by telling us about the Hachnosas Orchim of Avraham Avinu and everything that Avraham Avinu did and Chesed. So the Torah continues at the beginning of this week's parsha, says in Nsivos Shalom, and tells us that whatever you thought about Avraham Avinu, his Chesed was even greater. And we see that although Sarah Imenu was not alive anymore, we see that Avraham Avinu refused to accept the Ma'aras HaMachpelah at no charge. Avraham Avinu felt that it would not be fit a woman of Sarah's stature to accept something for Sarah Imenu free of charge. Avraham Avinu, although Sarah was not alive, Avraham Avinu had such respect for her, and the chesed of Avraham Avinu was so great that Avraham Avinu felt that in order to actually honor Sarah Imenu and to bestow an honor that would befit Sarah Imenu, Avraham Avinu paid 400 shekel kesef oiver l'secher. He paid full price. And the Torah wants to teach us that that was the chesed of Avraham Avinu. It was complete. It was a complete chesed even after his wife had passed on. And he did chesed, sai for chayim, for people that were alive, and sai for mason, people that weren't alive anymore. If one looks at the psukim, you'll notice that Avraham Avinu kept asking for achuzas kever. Avraham Avinu used the lashon of achuzas kever. But the Bnei Ches, when they were talking about this property that was up for sale now, the Bnei Ches kept talking about a plain kover, right? That's what they kept saying. Avraham Avinu was using achuzas kever, and the Bnei Ches were using a lashon of kever. Zok the Nsivos Shalom says to the Bnei Ches, what is a kever? What is a grave? To the Bnei Ches, a kever is just an appropriate place to place the body of a person after they pass away. It's an appropriate place to put it until the body will decompose. And that's what the Bnei Ches felt. That's what a kever is. That's all it is. But Avraham Avinu was different. Avraham Avinu was on a different madrega. Avraham Avinu was a person of emunah. Avraham Avinu believed in Tchias HaMesim. And by talking about Achuzas Kever, Avraham Avinu was telling us that this is nitzches. That a Yid wants a place for his neshama, that when a place for his neshama to reside and to stay until the neshama is returned to him, la'asid lavoi. It's much more than just a kever as it was to Bnei Ches. It was an achuzas kever. It was something extremely, extremely chashuv. And for that, says in the Nsivos Shalom, Avraham Avinu wanted to show that point. For that, you pay full price. When something is worth something, and it's worth everything to you, you don't bargain. It's worth a lot. It's something that's chashuv. Avraham Avinu, for that, he paid full price. The Nsivos Shalom says even a bit more on a deeper level, that when a goy owns a property in Eretz Yisrael, and it's good to know even today, I guess, but when a goy owns a property in Eretz Yisrael, that property acquires the status of tumah. It's tummy. If a goy owns something in Eretz Yisrael, it's tummy. So in order to return the kedushas ha'aretz to that property, where Avraham Avinu was going to bury Sarah Imenu, and Avraham Avinu himself was going to be buried there, and Yitzchak Avinu, and Yaakov Avinu, and 3 out of the 4 Imois, in order to bring that back, to restore the status of that property, Avraham Avinu also felt that's another reason you need to pay full price for it. If you get it as a gift, that does not remove the tumah. In order to remove the tumah from a property that a goy owned, you have to buy it. You have to do a full transaction, and now you get it back. And only that way will you remove the tumah, and you'll have back the kedusha of Eretz Yisrael. You have back the kedusha of that place. So Avraham Avinu wanted to bury Sarah where? Only in a place where there's a full kedusha. Only in a place that has mamish, the highest level of kedusha. The tumas ha'amim had to be removed. Getting it for free, that doesn't remove the tumas ha'amim. Another reason for Avraham Avinu wanting to pay full price, says in the Nsivos Shalom, is based on a pasuk, and many of you know this pasuk, and at least you know the concept, based on a pasuk in Mishlei Tesvav. The pasuk says, "V'soinei matonos yichya." One who hates, you don't have to use the word hate, but somebody who is anti, who despises accepting matonos yichya. And no, the pasuk doesn't necessarily mean that if you take a present, something's going to happen to you or anything like that. But it's telling you on what a high madrega a person is, one who would rather not, let's call it that way, would rather not accept presents. And as a davar shebekdusha has to be the kesef molei. Matana, we see from this pasuk in Mishlei, matana is something to be disliked. Matanas are not something that a person should like taking, that a person should pursue, that a person should want to take. The Gemara Masechta Yuma, Daf Chav Ches Amud Beis, tells us that Avraham Avinu kept the entire Torah before Kabbalas HaTorah. We know we have discussed this a number of times in the past, over the past few years, but we've said this point that Avraham Avinu kept the entire Torah, and even though obviously it was many years before Kabbalas HaTorah, Avraham Avinu kept the entire Torah. So the question is, how did Avraham Avinu know what the Torah wants? Right? We say in many places that Avraham Avinu kept the Torah. How did Avraham Avinu know what the Torah wants? And the Nsivos Shalom gives a very interesting concept and says a very interesting answer to this question. He says that how did Avraham Avinu know to keep the entire Torah? How did he know in which direction the Torah wants you to go? Based on another pasuk in the Torah, which was given years later, of the Asisa HaYoshar V'HaToiv Beinei Hashem. Avraham Avinu knew that in order to act as a Yid, in order to keep the Torah, in order to keep the mitzvahs, you need to do what is Yashar. And by Avraham Avinu doing what is Yashar, and what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants, Memela, he kept the whole Torah. The Torah is Yashras. The Torah is based on the Yashras of what HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells us is Yashras. So the Asisa HaYashar v'HaToiv B'einei Hashem teaches you how to keep the entire Torah. The Nsivos Shalom brings down from the Medrash Magid, Chusi Yagan Aleinu. It's based on the Gemara. Gemara says, Masechta Shabbos, Daf Lamed Aleph, that we know the story that a goy came to Hillel, and the goy asked Hillel that he wanted to learn Kol HaTorah Kula Al Regel Achas. In other words, he wanted to learn, in one moment, he wanted to learn the entire Torah. And everything, all ramifications, everything that the Torah teaches you. So what did Hillel tell him? Hillel gave him an answer. He told this guy, I'll tell you what. He says, My desani aloch lechavroch lo isavid. What you dislike, what you don't want, lechavroch, the Pasha Taich is, lechavroch lo isavid. Do not do that to your friend. What kind of shaykhis does this really have, the teaching Kol HaTorah Kula? Zok the Meretz Magid brought down by Nsivos Shalom that we could taich lechavroch to mean a different thing. Lechavroch could mean my desani aloch lechavroch, that which will not allow you to connect with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, lo isavi. Don't do it. Don't do anything that will alienate you and not let you and not bring you closer lechavroch to connect to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And this is the klal for everything. Whatever you want to do in life, it's based on this pasuk that Avraham Avinu knew then, and he based everything on that too. V'asisa hatoy v'hayashar. Do just what HaKadosh Baruch Hu will be pleased with. And the Nsivos Shalom says, very interesting thing, that this is the basis for all midos. We don't see anywhere in the Torah that the Torah tells you about having good midos. The Torah doesn't tell you necessarily about the midah of kas, the midah of different types of midos. The Torah doesn't tell you. But where do we see it in the Torah? It's not explicitly mentioned that we see hatoy v'hayashar b'einei Hashem. What are those? Those look in the Nsivos Shalom on midas toivas, things that bring you closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bad midos are my desani aloch lechavroch. If a person has bad midos, he can have all the Torah he wants. He can learn all he wants. He can walk around carrying all the Sfarim with him, spiritually, whatever you want. But if you have bad midos, that's not lechavroch. You'll never connect HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But how do we know it's Yashar? How do we know when something is Yashar? How do you feel it if you actually, Avraham Avinu didn't learn the actual Torah? We know it's Yashar, it's to follow your neshama. Your neshama is a chelik of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and your neshama knows what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. And that is how Avraham Avinu kept the whole Torah. And accepting matanos is not toy v'yashar. Based on that pasuk, soinu matanos yichya, accepting matanos is not toy v'yashar. Therefore, HaKadosh Baruch Hu does not like it. And therefore, Avraham Avinu wanted to pay full price for the Ma'aras HaMachpelah, even though the Bnei Ches wanted to give it away to Avraham Avinu. They wanted to give it away to him. Avraham Avinu, that wasn't Hatoy V'Yashar. That wasn't what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants us. V'soynei matanos yichya. So Avraham Avinu wanted to pay for the Ma'aras HaMachpelah full price. And the lesson we can learn out of here, just in the last minute, is what the Nsivos Shalom says over here, that this is where we learn midos from. Midos are something that's not mentioned explicitly in the Torah, but if you follow that pasuk like Avraham Avinu did, of the Asisa Hatoy V'Hayashar, you'll realize and you'll know that in order for a person to connect HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he has to have good midos. A person has to be a pleasant person. He has to have the midos of chesed. He has to have the midos that are good. And from there, and that's a lesson we learned from Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu knew all these things, but he wanted to pay full price. He also wanted to respect Sarah Imenu, even though she wasn't around anymore. Chesed means respecting somebody even if they're not right in front of you. Let's learn all these lessons. Learn the lessons from Avraham Avinu, who is now, after this week already, we just started learning about the Avos. Avraham Avinu is out of the picture already after this week. Let's learn the lessons from Avraham Avinu, and Shataka be important lessons that we keep with us.